everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to be looking at Israel and new talk of civil war. I swear, every day that goes by with this situation, things get more and more serious, and it seems like it's not just a little thing. It seems like it's getting really serious. I'm going to show you, I was about to hop in bed. It's nighttime. It's Friday. We were gonna do the chicken coop today. We're moving the chickens back to the old coop, and it kind of got late. We had to go to Wichita, get some straw, and we got back and we were just like, you know what? Let's just put off till tomorrow. And as I was waiting for my wife to put my son down to bed, I was just kind of going through the news, and I saw this. I listened to this as I was playing backgammon, and I was just like, what? Okay, so Israel's president warns of quote unquote civil war amid disputes over controversial judicial reforms. And this is a video from The Guardian, but I'm going to go over what he actually said. He did say civil war. Before we get into that, this is the update for the Book of Mormon Sharing Challenge. So this is at the end of Friday night. 4,600 4,625 copies of the Book of Mormon shared. That's up 23 from yesterday, so that's good. You can see here that the average seems to be, I don't know, somewhere in the 20s maybe for the last little while. And then we've gone up a total of 5 new people sharing the Book of Mormon, so we're at 407. So please continue to make that go up. It's really easy to do. You're going to feel good, you're going to receive blessings for doing it, and you're going to help prepare the world for the second coming. And then just let me know, and then I'll update it on the tracker. You can be anonymous if you want to. All right, so back to this. This is serious. Do you know why? Okay, before I get into the details, what they're actually saying and stuff like that, you know why this is serious? Okay, think if you're Iran or some other enemy of Israel. If Israel actually went that far and went to war with each other, had civil war, that'd probably be a pretty good time to attack Israel, wouldn't it? So as we're sitting here watching for signs of the times, and we know that there's going to be a final war against Israel in which Jerusalem itself will be under siege and Christ will come to save the Jews. Well, this is one of the things that we're looking for, and this looks like a way that it could happen. They've kind of talked about this a little bit over the last couple weeks, but this is the first time that I know of that it's been said officially like this. Okay. So here's another possibility where we may be looking at the beginning of the end. So who said it? Who said it? Israel's president, this guy right here. Now, okay, so currently it's Isaac Herzog, okay? And what is the president of Israel? Because you guys know Benjamin Netanyahu, right? He is the prime minister. This is like what, in the United States, what we would think of as the president. He is the head of the executive branch, right? So it's kind of like, it's not the same as American politics, of course, or the way our form of government. So Benjamin Netanyahu really is the one that has power, not so much the president of Israel. According to this article, it says that, let's see, so the president of Israel, Nesi Medinat Yisrael, is the head of state of Israel. The position is largely a ceremonial role, with executive power vested in the cabinet, led by the prime minister. See, so it's just like I don't know. The incumbent president is Isaac Herzog, who took office on the 7th of July. So that's 7/7 of 2021. And 21 is 3 sevens. Presidents are elected by the Knesset for a single 7-year term. So there's a lot of sevens going on with this guy. And with Benjamin Netanyahu, He is he is, well, by this count right here, he is the ninth prime minister of Israel. This would go all the way back to when he became prime minister the first time, right here. Okay, this was um, the 18th of June, 1996. Then you had Ehud Barak, Ariel Sharon. You probably recognize these names. Ehud Olmert, and then back to Netanyahu. And then they worked really hard to get Netanyahu out, and they succeeded by doing this weird political coalition maneuver where Naftali Bennett was the prime minister for a little while, but then the coalition fell apart, and the remaining time was passed over to um, his partner, Yair Lapid. They came up with an agreement where he would have like the first half of the prime minister of the term, and then Yair Lapid would have the second. Well, their government fell apart, and Netanyahu got back into power. Now, what's maybe concerning about this a little bit is you should really watch my video that I did right here called Rabbis, Rabbis, Netanyahu Preparing Way for Messiah. Okay? You really, really should watch this video because I tend to think that this explains what we're seeing right now with with Benjamin Netanyahu. They told him, even if he's not Orthodox, whatever, I don't know just how religious he is. He seems like he's more on the secular side, but he's being backed by the ultra orthodox, the Haredim and the Hasidim. So they told him that he was going to pass the keys to Messiah. So that's another way of saying that he would be the last prime minister of Israel. And then it would turn into a monarchy under Messiah, and Messiah would reestablish the Davidic dynasty. That's what they're expecting. And if I remember right, they were talking about him as being Messiah ben Yosef, or the Messiah son of Joseph, he's the one that's supposed to prepare the way for Messiah ben David, which is the Messiah that they're expecting. And there's a parallel with us in our church. We have a Messiah ben Yosef. It's Joseph Smith. He prepared the way for Christ to come. So anyway, so if that's his frame of mind, okay, if that's his frame of mind, let's go back to this little timeline here. And unexpectedly, he's kicked out of office by this political move, but then he gets back into office. If you're him and you have this kind of like grandiose fantasy or goal of transforming Israel, making it prepared for Messiah, then you might be like, holy cow, that was a close one. I'm back in. I better get this done right now. And frankly, I think that's what we're seeing. Because what he's trying to do, if you haven't seen my other videos, I've followed this a little bit. He's trying to consolidate power, basically take power away from the judicial branch, limit the judicial branch's power, so he can have more power. Oh, and by the way, look at this. Here's that number I was looking for. So this is the 37th government of Israel. So you have a 3 and you have a 7. So that's just great. That 7 means, it typically means the end. It means completion. So is this the completion of the modern nation state of Israel before Christ comes? It could be. I don't know. Okay. So the development today. So this is what's been going on. This is what's been going on. Netanyahu and his government have been like just pushing these reforms through, just like hardcore, just speeding it through the Knesset. And here you have the ceremonial role of President Isaac Herzog, who is wanting to have a say, and he prepared basically kind of like a compromise, or can we talk about this? And I guess today's news, they say that Netanyahu was like, no, that's okay. And they're just continuing with what they want to do. In the meantime, there's been really large protests going on, primarily in Tel Aviv. I'm going to see if there's any pictures here. No. Um, but they've been like having really, really large protests. A lot of people are up in arms about it, almost literally at this point. Uh, there's been like people in the military that have said that they're not going to, show up for duty if they go through with what they're trying to do with the judicial branch. There was something to the effect that, like, the Naval Reserve, they actually had blocked some ships from coming in protest to what's going on with the government. So, and then after Netanyahu rejects uh, sorry, after, okay, yeah, after Benjamin Netanyahu rejects Herzog's proposal, he gives this speech, and this is what he says. This is Israel 365 News, but you can also read it. I just have these other ones up just to show you. It's all over the news. Here's Times of Israel. You can do a Google search. Uh, Over here, we got NPR talking about it, the Daily Beast, WK Public. Okay, so just a bunch of people talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. All right, so this is the part that I want to read. Okay, he says, this is Herzog talking, the ceremonial position of president of Israel. He says, I'm going to use a phrase I haven't used before, an expression that no Israeli isn't horrified when he hears it. Anyone who thinks that a real civil war involving human life is a line we will not reach has no clue. Right now, in the 75th year of the state of Israel, the abyss is within reach. So, I don't care if you're like ceremonial or not, you probably shouldn't say that or bring up the term civil war unless you're like really serious about using it. Um, so that's kind of where we're at. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to push this through, get it done by Passover. And again, let's go to hebcal.com. Let's look at this year, 2023. So that's going to be by before sundown on April 5th. And today is the 16th. So that's that's basically, that's like 3 weeks away, a little bit less than 3 weeks away. And General Conference is going to be happening just before Passover and before the Knesset leaves for the holiday break. Okay. So remember everything that we've been talking about as far as General Conference goes. It's happening this year. Palm Sunday is landing on during the weekend of General Conference. There's a lot of stuff pointing to Palm Sunday imagery of Christ coming. Christ coming as king, right? That's how he kind of like, symbolically, metaphorically, that's how he was kind of recognized officially as king back then when he rode in Jerusalem. Of course, everyone that realized that he was Messiah knew that he was king, but like his like official way of showing it in the last week of his life was when he rode into Jerusalem. And at this point, I think it's a foreshadowing of the second coming when he comes and he is the king of the world. So as our church seems to be focusing on Palm Sunday and his kingship and the second coming, Israel looks like it's, at the very least, in a state of unrest. What makes matters worse, by the way, is that Ramadan is taking place this year at the same time that Passover is, and we've read about that before because I think I already forget. I think that happened last year, and in 2022, and there was heightened tension at that time, but now with what's going on here, if you're an Arab Israeli, a Palestinian, you're going to be on the side of not wanting Netanyahu to consolidate power because that power is going to be used against you. Okay, is going to be probably used in the form of continuing with settling in the West Bank. It's going to be used, who knows, maybe to change the status quo on the Temple Mount, whatever that may be. So, at a time when you have holidays overlapping, Passover and Ramadan, which by itself brings contention and unrest, and then now we have this multiplier, or we have this situation that exacerbates it, where there's this highly unpopular thing happening in the Israeli government. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like another kind of like perfect storm kind of situation. Last time it felt like it was a perfect storm, but this one is even more perfect. Okay, from my point of view. If you look at what's going on with our church, if you look what's going on with the Israeli government, if you look at what's going on with these holidays overlapping, boy, oh boy. And then on top of that, we have the war going on in Ukraine, and who knows how that could intermingle with all this if things get out of hand, and we don't know. Now, for all anybody knows, maybe they'll push it through. People won't be happy, but then they'll grudgingly just go ahead and go with it, and then maybe life will continue for some time, months or years, and then later on down the road, that's when something crazy happens. But I don't know. It just looks like the next few weeks are going to be maybe just a little bit intense. Maybe just a little bit intense. All we can do is just watch and see what actually happens. That's the that's the motto of this channel. All we can do is watch and see what actually happens. So, um, if anything, the president of Israel, uh, the figurative or symbolic head of state, however you want to think of him saying that out loud as Netanyahu rejects his proposal. If nothing else, it just emboldens the opposition, all those people out on the streets, and anybody else that's against this in the country, even if they're not out on the streets. I talked to Rabbi Gerfine on Wednesday, and I was asking him about this. And he's usually pretty like conservative in his views of how things will happen. Like he's not one to like just go off on crazy ideas. So when he told me this, I was kind of shocked a little bit, just knowing his and now I've been talking to him for I don't know how long, maybe like 6 months or more. Um, he said, you know what? I think what we're seeing are the birth pangs. That things are referring to the Jewish Messiah appearing. And like I've said before, it's important to get a feel for how the Jews view the last days and how they view world events, because the Lord is working with them too and preparing them. Even though they're expecting a different a different Messiah, uh, when the second coming does happen, we know what's going to happen. They're going to accept Christ. They'll recognize him at that point. So even though they don't know that yet, the Lord seems to be preparing them, and I think he's working on Rabbi Gerfine and many others. Like I've covered on this channel, there's so many different stories that we've covered, so many different things that a lot of Jews are looking at, religious Jews, as signs of the times. Everything from foxes showing up on the Temple Mount to the name of God, Jehovah, being written in vines on the eastern wall of the Temple Mount. If you missed that video, just go to my Temple Mount playlist or go to my Jerusalem playlist. You'll find it. I've done a few videos about it. So we're not the only ones that are watching for the signs. They are too. And this is just unreal. I tried to see if there was any other time in Israeli history where there was like talk of civil war, and it doesn't seem really like there was. And when I say civil war, I'm talking mostly about like Israeli against Israel, like Jewish Israeli against Jewish Israeli, not like Arab Israelis against Jewish Israelis. Um, Rabbi Gerfine, he brought up this right here. You might remember when Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated, right? And he was talking about. Well, I'd have to go back to that conversation that we were having. I can't remember exactly what he said about this, but he said that this was the last time that there was something kind of reminiscent of what's happening right now. Um, I guess he was not popular with some of the more religious, kind of extremist Jews because of this right here, right? Um, so that happened, but anyway, this is a different situation. And no, and then not only that, but there's growing like a growing sense that Israel is going to strike Iran because they're getting just that much closer to developing nuclear weapons. So there's just so many different moving pieces. It's crazy. Yeah, look at this. It's March Madness. It's but like in the second coming sense. This is second coming March Madness. So um boy oh boy. Okay. So well that's going to be it for this one. This is the update. I'm going to keep an eye on this, but I would impress upon you that this might be a little bit more serious than what we've given it credit for. We're just going to have to see how it develops, but it seems like it's just going to get it's just going to get more and more intense and dramatic as we get closer to the conference weekend and Passover. All right. All right. So again, make sure to share the Book of Mormon. Who knows how much time we have left before the second coming? Of course, we're going to be doing more missionary work afterwards, but let's do as much as we can before. So 407, that's really good, but we really need more people sharing the Book of Mormon. Please do it. It's so easy. It's not as bad as you think. Pray for courage, pray for who needs it, and then let me know. All right, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.